My name's Henry Irving, and I'm the Communications Secretary for the Social History Society. And I'm delighted today to be awarding the Postgraduate Prize. Now, in normal times, we award prizes for the best paper and the best poster given by postgraduate annual conference. These are, of course, far from normal times. We've swapped Lancaster for the delights of home working, and instead of meeting the winner in person, I am currently looking at myself on a screen. This hasn't, though, diminished our enthusiasm for research and reflection. And as a society, we reframed our prize to recognise the best postgraduate blogs. And it really is a pleasure to announce that the winner of this prize is Kate Brooks, a postgraduate researcher at Bath Spa University, who wrote a blog entitled "Making a Stand with Mary, Precarious Employment in Pandemic Times." And I'm hoping that Kate is with us now.
Hello.
Congratulations, Kate.
Thank you very much. It's a great thing to get at a time like this when it feels very strange that we're all kind of stuck in our studies or corners of our kitchen. So it's really nice to get a bit of recognition for writing. So thank you very much.
No, it really is a fantastic blog, and at the time that this video is being released, it will be on the website so people can go away and read it for themselves. But I just wonder, as a sort of bit of context, would you mind telling us a bit more about the research that the blog is based on?
Sure. I mean, it started off as a bit of family history, really. My great-grandfather was in Muller's Orphanage, which is a huge Victorian, or was a huge Victorian orphanage in Bristol. And then as I became interested in that whole kind of field, I was lucky enough to get a student stipend to do some PhD research. So I'm looking at the orphanage now from the perspective of the way that the orphans were educated, and in particular the way they were trained for particular jobs, so servants or apprentices. And I'm really interested in the ways that the orphanage itself kind of categorises the young people as they leave the orphanage. So children are recommendable or unrecommendable, and it's really interesting to see what kinds of criteria the orphanage is using for those kinds of labels. So it's looking at the kind of discourses and the language. So I am rather missing the archives at the minute because none of it's digitised. It's all nice, proper dusty books and old handwriting. So I'm doing the best I can with what I've got.
Yeah, and I think something that many people will feel very, very connected to, and we might come back to that in a moment. I was wondering, because you're also in the blog, as well as the sort of research element, you really connect this in with your teaching and your own personal experiences. Would you mind saying a little bit more about that as well?
Well, I think all of us, a lot of doctoral students are also associate lecturers and hourly paid lecturers, and certainly that work is pretty precarious at the best of times. And it certainly feels like it's a bit of a worry what will happen in September if, face-to-face teaching is far less than it was. And I think that whole kind of not quite feeling like a proper academic, I think when I looked at my great aunt, who I talk about in the blog, her employment, being a servant and taking on a certain kind of identity and trying to be respectable and trying to kind of keep that foothold in kind of respectable society, it kind of did chime a little bit with being an hourly paid lecturer and trying to kind of equally find a kind of foothold in the academic field and trying to get your research known, and challenging enough at the best of times, but certainly challenging when you're doing it all from a corner of your bedroom or wherever you're working from.
No, and again, I think people will definitely see themselves in that as well. You've alluded to the closure of archives. You've alluded to what is, a really uncertain situation with regard to next September. How else, though, how has this sort of current context affected your research? Have you been able to continue? Has it forced you into different directions? Has it opened up new questions?
Yeah, I think. It's difficult to keep that kind of rhythm going, I think, isn't it? If you're not going to libraries and you're not going to archives and you're not in your institution, it can feel very difficult to kind of keep it going and keep that kind of momentum up, I suppose. So it's been challenging in that way. It has perhaps forced me to really look at what I have got and not, because I think it's quite tempting, particularly when you're doing archival research, because it's, as anyone who does it knows, it's so addictive. And so perhaps it stopped me kind of going out and gathering even more stuff and just carrying on that gathering of materials part of a PhD, which, you know, which everyone acknowledges is the fun part in a way. And so because I'm trapped in my study, I have had to really start to do the stuff that I have been kind of putting off, like the methodology chapter that everybody dreads. So it's kind of good in that way, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it does feel a little bit like Groundhog Day at the minute, but we're all in that.
And then I suppose the other thing which is just worth us reflecting on is that the nature of this prize was very different this year. I know you're also speaking as part of our sort of online events which take place instead of our conference. But for you, what has been the value of writing blogs, kind of participating in this, albeit slightly stilted manner? Has that helped you when it's come to the research?
I think, yes, definitely. I think certainly the way that we're communicating in this way, I have found really useful. And actually, I mean, being in a conference or the networking events that the Social History Societies run has been, I mean, I kind of like the way that everyone has a square and everyone's square is the same size. So whether you're just starting out as a doctorate student or a master's student or you're professor of whatever, you've still got the same size square. And I think that's led to some really interesting kind of conversations and interesting kind of networking opportunities that perhaps wouldn't have existed if we were all shuffling around with our lanyards and our coffee in some kind of networking space, although, you know, I do miss that kind of face-to-face interaction. So I think there's an opportunity for that kind of networking and those kind of conversations that may have been kind of even more stilted perhaps by being in a physical space. And for me, and obviously being in Bristol and all the recent events with Black Lives Matter and the toppling of Colston, there's been a fantastic explosion of debates and essays and blogs on history and what history means and whose history is it and who should say what history is. And I'm not sure that would have happened maybe if we hadn't been in this situation, that there's a tremendous buzz, I suppose, from the scholarly, you know, in Bristol, we've got the Radical Bristol History Group, for example, and there's lots of scholarly debates, but there's also, you know, just people talking about what it meant to them or what the empty plinth means to them or what Bristol's history means to them. And I think, again, there's been some real opportunities for crossover and debates kind of outside of the kind of conventional conference space, I suppose.
Well, what a fantastic way to end this conversation. And I think it also really tees up actually the blog post. And I would encourage everybody to go and read it because it is a fantastic combination of research, teaching, and then this wider context as well. So Kate, congratulations once again. The blog post is called Making a Stand with Mary. It's on the Social History Society website now. And yes, a very deserved winner of our inaugural Social History Society Exchange Prize. Well done, Kate.
Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying the conference, so thank you to all of those people contributing to that as well.